Wake it up and then slide it. Good morning, dear friends, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. I welcome you who are here in our sanctuary, who braved the weather, and of course all of you who are attending virtually, wherever you may be. My name is Carol Castillo, and I am happy to be your worship associate this morning. Our minister is the Reverend Dr. Madelyn Campbell, and our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little. Please plan to join us after the service for coffee and conversation. For those who are with us online, if you sign off after the service and return to our website, you will find the link for joining our small group chats. Whether here or online, you will find some friendly folks who can answer any questions you may have.
Our opening music is going to be a tune called Inisheer. It's an Irish air, and Inisheer means Eastern Island. It's an island a bit different from Long Island. It's an island in Galway Bay, population of 343, but an island is an island.
Lovely. Beloveds, we are small but mighty this morning here in the sanctuary, and I hope that those of you who have chosen to stay home today are staying safe. And I want to remind everyone that there is actually a tornado watch today. Yeah, so let's just not be hypervigilant, but be vigilant, pay attention, and keep ourselves and each other as safe as possible. Beloveds, come. Come from the sea. Come from the sound. Come from the North and South Forks. Come from Nassau County. Come from your laptop, your desktop, or your television. Come from this island and enter into this space made holy by our presence. Enter into this hour made holy by our intention. Enter into this spiritual home. Let us worship together.
I have asked Carolyn Loofborough to light our chalice this morning. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We kindle the flame of our faith in the cup of our covenant. May our covenant nourish the flame as it shines a light for all to see, like a lighthouse guiding us on our way. The first hymn this morning is going to be number 21. We only have the one hymnal today, so number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our first hymn, number 21.
What a blustery day, yes? You know, we're going to be talking about home today. And we all have a home here on Long Island, yeah? And don't we have blustery days living on an island? Even if it's a really big island, we don't get away from the water here, right? Where our lives are very much touched by the ocean and the sound, and so we do have blustery days. Now, some people have homes up in the mountains. Has anybody here ever lived in the mountains? Some of you. And there are different kinds of blustery days on mountains. Some people have a home in the desert. Anybody here ever lived in the desert? So one person. And in the desert, blustery days aren't so much about rain, but about wind and maybe sand sometimes, depending on which desert you live in. Some people have a home in big cities. Anybody here from New York City besides some of us? Yeah. And New York City is full of islands. But those of us from New York City, we think of ourselves as being from the city and not so much from an island, even though if you live on Staten Island or Manhattan or in Brooklyn or in Queens, you have to go over bridges or tunnels to get off. But here in our Long Island home, we have things that make Long Island special and home to us. Anybody here like to go to the beach? Now, some of us like the North Shore, rocky beaches on the Sound. Anybody? That's my favorite. Some people like the sandy, smooth beaches of the South Shore and the ocean. Who likes this? There are some people whose that's favorite too. But the whole thing is, whatever you prefer, and whatever our weather, this is home. What makes it home to you? Is it the people? Is it your house? Anybody here ever moved house? Moved house? Yeah, some of you have moved house, right? And when we move house, does the new place feel like home right away? Do we think of home as the old place no matter how long we've been in the new place? That old place that's really home, even though I haven't lived there for 10 or 20 or 40 years. So what makes it home? What makes this our home? Well, we're going to explore that today. And I invite you to think about what makes Long Island home? What makes home special as we listen to our service today?
So next is meditation. Following our meditation in word, we will sit in silence for a minute. Then we will sing the first verse only of hymn number 136, Where Gentle Tides Go Rolling By. You may wish to have your hymnal open to it before we begin. Again, the number is 136, Where Gentle Tides Go Rolling By, and Joanne will bring us out of the silence with that, and we will sing together the first verse. Our meditation this morning is a poem by Emma Lazarus. Lazarus is best known for her poem, The New Colossus, which is engraved on the Statue of Liberty. This poem is called Long Island Sound. I see it as it looked one afternoon in August, by a fresh, soft breeze o'erblown, the swiftness of the tide, the light thereon, a far-off sail, white as a crescent moon, the shining waters with pale currents strewn, the quiet fishing smacks, the eastern cove, the semicircle of its dark green grove, the luminous grasses and the merry sun in the grave sky, the sparkle far and wide, laughter of unseen children, cheerful chirp of crickets, and low lisp of rippling tide. Light summer clouds, fantastical as sleep, changing unnoted while I gazed thereon. All these fair sounds and sights I made my own.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Apryl, and I'm grateful to be sharing with everyone today. Long Island originally became my home April 1st of 2000. We moved here from Aspen, Colorado with our 8-month-old son, and I've now enjoyed living in my Sound Beach home for 20 years. Truly, every day I'm grateful that I chose Long Island as my home, with its incredible natural assets and the diversity of our natural surroundings. So many beaches, like the pastor said, from the rocky North Shore with its quiet waves and serene presence, to the sandy beaches on the South Shore with sometimes white-capped waves and lots of activities, to the Pine Barrens, majestic forests and trails through nature, our preserves and parks. Our extensive, diverse natural surroundings have so much inspiration, beauty, and activities to offer us. When I meditated on these words of this poem, Long Island Sound by Emma Lazarus just now, I really felt the way I do when I stand overlooking my Sound Beach, connected to the island, to the bigger picture, to the web of life. I find spending time daily in nature, walking, whether I'm on the beach or walking through my neighborhood, I connect with my higher power, my guardian angels, and my spirit guides. Mother Nature helps bring me back to like a childlike curiosity of the beauty and the nature here on Long Island. I always feel my spirit's uplifted and my faith is restored as I wander through the tall trees in my neighborhood and look out over the Long Island Sound, the beach towards Connecticut, and observe the flow of the waves and experience the movement and just take that time to hand over my worries to my spiritual supporters, which really allows me to feel wonder and joy at the magic of Mother Nature and the beauty of our Long Island home every day. These lush surroundings, they contribute to such a sense of serenity and connection to nature that I feel nurtures a sense of home in a lot of folks. Also, the island's unique and long history has such a sense of tradition. So many families have lived on the island for generations and are deeply rooted in its history, which can facilitate a real feeling of home for many residents. In fact, currently, descendants of the original founders, the indigenous peoples on our island, still live on the Shinnecock Reservation in Southampton, as well as the Puspatuck Reservation in Mastic. These indigenous communities have a strong sense of community. They're close-knit neighborhoods. The people take such pride in their local area, and they're involved in community events like ceremonial powwows, which are handed down from the tribal elders, and tribal organizations that further educate their younger generations. This sense of longing and connectedness creates a feeling of home for these and many other individuals. Long Island being known with its diverse population, we have people with varied ethnic, cultural, and religious faith backgrounds. This diversity creates such a vibrant and inclusive communities where different perspectives are highly valued. The presence of these diverse neighborhoods, the cultural events, experiences like the powwows on the reservations, the ethnic and faith-based festivals that we have island-wide every year, I feel contribute to such a rich multicultural environment that many residents appreciate it, increasing their sense of home. Now, also, Long Island's proximity to New York City is another factor that makes it feel like a good place to have as home for many people. The accessibility to the city's cultural entertainment offerings, job opportunities, and just that vibrant city life is appealing to everyone that wants the best of both worlds. These conveniences, you get to have everything New York City offers without actually living in the city itself. I'm an island person. I like to visit the city, but staying here is more. Some folks feel more connected at home because of the family living here for generations. Some because it's their love of history or the diversity of opportunities in the business and the educational marketplace. Perhaps they feel connected at home because of the many different faiths, ethnicities, and gender orientations, and everyone lives and works together here on Long Island. Although a lot of people do say their primary reason for selecting Long Island as their home, other than their families lived here for years, is location, 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 and that convenience. I kind of feel that's the tip of the iceberg. With all the opportunities, the different communities of faith, our natural and historical background, when you view the Long Island and the race and gender diversity in our population, when it's all viewed as a whole, to me, these elements create the picture of a social home ecosystem. Each facet forms together to create this beautiful, unique place that we call home on Long Island. This contributes to the strong sense of home many people feel. All this combination of these caring, close-knit communities, the beautiful natural beauty, educational and business opportunities, the proximity to New York City, the gender and faith diversity, and all these welcoming surroundings resonate with residents and foster a deep connection to home. To me, this creates an environment of interconnectedness, love, and faith that I think creates the link between living on Long Island as our home as opposed to just a location or a place. Thank you. Namaste.
So what has that to do with worship? Why is that important? Well, it is important. Recently, the staff and I went on an outing to the aquarium in Riverhead. Anybody been to the aquarium in Riverhead? Yeah, it's a great place, right? And one of the most important things, I think, that we saw in the aquarium there was a huge exhibit that was devoted to the local ecosystem. What's happening on Long Island? What do we see in our waters here? Now, we even had a chance, and you might have seen these pictures, I think we posted them on social media. We even had a chance to wade in the water with horseshoe crabs and some other crabs, and I can't remember the name of the other crabs, but they're local. And Deb Little and I did that. We went in the water, and we couldn't take them out of the water, but you could pick up a crab if you wanted to, and I held a horseshoe crab as it was crawling around. Why is that so important? Because we know that this is our home, and it helps us feel more connected to the work that we do and the work that we need to do to keep our home a clean and safe place for all beings. So now I know what's living in the waters locally. And now I want to protect those creatures more, right? If I know my neighbors and the neighborhoods, I want to make sure all the people in those neighborhoods are safe and protected. Safe from what? Well, there are less wonderful sides of Long Island. Can we agree that there are? You know, there are hate groups based right here in Setauket. But if this is my home, I want to make sure all my neighbors are safe from hate, safe in school. And safety in school doesn't mean taking books out, it means putting books in. Right? So I want to make sure that my neighbors are safe from environmental hazards. So you know that we've recently shared our plate with Blarg, right? The group that's fighting some of the landfill things that are going on. And I want to keep my neighbors safe from the pollution of the landfill. You know that we shared our plate not long ago with the Shinnecock kelp farmers. They're our neighbors too. Oh, it takes over an hour to get out there, I know. But they're our neighbors too. And they sent us a very nice thank you fish hanging thing. It's hanging in the office if you haven't seen it. It's a thank you from the Shinnecock kelp farmers, reminding us that they're our neighbors and they're part of the rich, rich history of our area. Why else is it important to talk about home? Because, beloveds, we have work to do we not? There are things we need to be doing out there. We need a place where we can feel at peace, where we can get renewed, where we can feel safe. Safe to explore all the things we need to explore, safe to talk about the difficult things. Now, I hope that for all of you, that this congregation, this fellowship, feels like a safe place where we can talk about difficult things, where we can have difficult conversations. Is anybody here perfect? No? Okay, just checking, just checking. I am certainly not perfect. And how do we make ourselves closer to perfect? How do we put a shine on? Well, you know, I told you I like the North Shore beaches, right? I went out to Cedar Beach yesterday, and some of you know that I like to go hunting for beach glass. Right? I found 5 pieces yesterday. If you look at the glass that you find on the beach, or the stones, and certainly on the North Shore, there are plenty of stones, yes? What's interesting about the stones? They're all what? They're different. How do they feel? They're smooth, that's right. They're all smooth. Why are they smooth? Because they get tossed around in the waves and they rub up against each other. And it smooths them over. And we're sort of like that. We get tossed around in the waves of everything that's going on, and we rub up against each other sometimes. Well, we need a safe place to do that. We rub up against each other, and it smooths out our pointy edges. Anybody here have pointy? I have some pointy edges. They've been getting smooth over time. You know, I'm a grandmother now. I've had a lot of years to get smoothed out. But I still could be polished a little more. When we feel safe, when we feel at home, when we feel connected, in those moments when we're getting polished, we don't mind so much. Right? In those times when we're learning, we call those growing edges, we don't mind so much because we're connected. We have a place to be. Now, people find home in many different places, but here, on this island, where we have to face certain things together, like, I don't know, flood warnings, rough weather, where we smell the same sea air, where we all complain together about the Long Island Expressway. I mean, I feel like that's sort of a rite of passage. You have to be able to say, ugh, I was on the LIE for, right? But Long Island is so much more than the LIE and the LIRR, right? We are a community of communities. So it's important to remember where our home is and where we can go to get refreshed, to go out to do the work that we must do. So, as Apryl told us, we can get refreshed by the sights and sounds all around us. What connects you? What makes Long Island home for you? What renews your soul? What sights? What sounds? What smells? Let us remain connected to those things so that we can go out and do the work of continuing to polish one another and our home. Namaste.
It is our spiritual practice to share our offering plate with an organization working for a more just future. For the month of July, our social justice partner is Island Harvest, Long Island's largest hunger relief organization. Their volunteers and staff deliver millions of pounds of food to a network of 570 food pantries, soup kitchens, and other organizations offering feeding services to those in need. They also sponsor a great summer food serving program for kids in 70 communities across Long Island, including schools, libraries, and recreation centers. The program offers free lunch during a time of year when school lunch programs are not available. Their two newest programs are the Giving Gardens and their Healthy Harvest Farm. As families on Long Island continue to struggle, our contributions to this organization can make a real difference. Island Harvest provides high-quality food, advocacy, education, resources, and services to our neighbors in need. Please give generously in support of the fellowship and this worthwhile organization. You may make your gifts on the plate or online. For those online, the link to donate is in the chat box. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Our offertory song is Darling Be Home Soon by John Sebastian.
Come and talk of all the things we did today. Hear and laugh about our funny little ways while we have a few minutes to breathe. Then I know that it's time you must leave. But darling, be home soon. I couldn't bear to wait an extra minute if you don't. My darling, be home soon. It's not just these few hours, but I've been waiting since I toddled for the great relief of having you to talk to. And now, a quarter of my life is almost past. I think I've come to see myself at last. And I see that the time spent confused was the time that I spent without you. And I feel myself in bloom. But darling, be home soon. I couldn't bear to wait an extra minute if you dawdled. My darling, be home soon. It's not just these few hours, but I've been waiting since I toddled for the great relief of having you to talk to. but darling, be home soon. I couldn't bear to wait an extra minute if you dawdle. My darling, be home soon. It's not just these few hours, but I've been waiting since I toddled, for the great relief of having you to talk to. Go and beat your crazy head against the sky. Try and see beyond the houses and your eyes. It's okay to shoot the moon, but darling, be home soon. I couldn't bear to wait an extra minute if you dawdle. My darling, be home soon. It's not just these few hours, but I've been waiting since I toddled, for the great relief of having you to talk to.
I invite you to join me in dedicating the offering. I'll wait. Is it? Yeah, go get it. Oh, it's in the safe? Never mind. It's in the safe. We're going to dedicate it without it being here. It's in the safe. The words are in your insert. To the work of our faith, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and those our offerings. We roll with it, right? All right, I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and remain risen through the extinguishing of the chalice, and then sit down again after that. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our final hymn, number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life. Beloveds, go in peace. Today, go in safety. Go in love. Go and love this island home and go always in the footsteps of the holy. Amen. And now, we extinguish our chalice flame, for our worship has ended and our service began.
Sorry, I jumped the gun a little there. For our closing song, well, first, before I announce our closing song, I just want to say, I don't think it was listed, but Rich Hall and Linda Cortez are here playing with us, so we're very happy about that. And the last song we're going to do is a song, I've Been Everywhere. It was first written by an Australian composer about places in Australia. The first version I heard was Johnny Cash singing about places around the United States. And then in 2017, right here, I got to hear Chris Dorso, former member of our congregation, sing a version, a brilliant version, I'll say, with Long Island words. So that's what we're going to do for you now. Chris and Emily and Robert and Claire have moved up to Rochester, but I reached out to Chris and I got his permission to do his version of I've Been Everywhere Man. So. I was toting my pack along the dusty old North Country road when along came a semi with a high-end canvas-covered load. If you're driving around Long Island, Mac, with me you can ride. So I climbed into the cab and then I settled down inside. He asked me if I'd seen a road with so much dust and sand, and I said, listen, bud, I've traveled every road in this here land. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the deserts bare, man. I breathed the mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been Brentwood, Wildwood, Elwood, Farmingdale, Edgewood, Knollwood, Pointer Woods, Oakdale, Scotch Beach, Ocean Beach, Mastic Beach, Center Ridge, Cedar Beach, Jones Beach, Long Beach, Sound Beach, Deer Park, Kings Park, New Hyde Park, Shelter Island, Fire Island, Middle Island, everything around here's an island. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I heard those car horns blare, man. I breathed that coastal air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Terryville, Rockville, Sayville, Orion Point, Farmingville, Amityville, Melville, Sands Point, Oldfield, Flower Field, Roosevelt Field, Holbrook, Mill Neck, Lloyd's Neck, Strong's Neck, Stony Brook, Jamesport, Bellport, Eastport, Centerport, Northport, Greenport, going down to Jeffport. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Traveled to Saltaire, man. I breathe the coastal air, man. Of travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Smith Haven, Brookhaven, Sailors Haven, Montauk, Bay Hills, Dix Hills, Hither Hills, Seatucket, East Quad, Tutchok, Patchogue, Panamoka, Smithtown, Levittown, Huntington, Ronkonkoma, Bay Point, Blue Point, Rocky Point, Fort Salonga, Miller Place, Carl Place, every place I know over yonder. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the vineyards there, man. I breathe that coastal air, man. Of travel, I had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Yeah, I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I heard those car horns blare, man. I breathed the coastal air, man. Travel, I had my share, man.